Hi guys, it's Steph here at Bujo Bear. I'm coming to you now with what you'd suppose people would call their bullet journal sidekick. This is my Fabriano notebook, spring-bound, wire-bound notebook. It's lined. This I use for forward planning events, such as I use this primarily for my trip to Disneyland Paris to plan all that, and I used this so that I could take this with me. I didn't really want to take my new Leuchtturm bullet journal because I didn't want it to get damaged, be carried around in the bag, and I didn't want anything to happen to it or it get lost or anything like that. So I used this to help me plan my trip to Disneyland. So I'll just show you how I use this for my holiday plans. So I just wrote down in here some basic details of the dates of the holidays, how long we were away, the pickup times, passenger list, our seats, and what was basically included in our hotel package. But here I just kept a list of everybody's passport details, so in case anything bad happened to them, we could sort that out, and I still had all the details to hand. In Disneyland Paris, I kept this as my top tips. I would go for breakfast at 7 a.m. in your hotel. We were staying at the Sequoia Lodge in Disneyland Paris, which is one of the Disneyland resort hotels. And because we were staying in there, we had access to magic hours. Now, for those of you who don't know, magic hours is something you can take advantage of if you're staying in a Disneyland resort hotel. The park officially opens at 10 a.m. to the general public, but if you are staying in a Disneyland resort, you can actually gain access to the park with your magic hours from 8 a.m. until 10 a.m. Now, all of the rides in Fantasyland are open then, which is fantastic. It's the best ones for the kids. And they did have some of the characters there for meet and greets and photo opportunities. The first thing my children did when they got to Disneyland Paris, they met Mickey and Minnie. They had their photos taken with them, and then the next day they had their photos with Chip and Dale, and they loved it. And I made a note of the park hours for the times that we are there. It changes each time throughout the year. We went at the beginning of October, and the times for the official park opening was 10 a.m. until 8 p.m. The reason I kept a note of this, the time of closing, was because there was a Disneyland fireworks show on at that time. So I wanted to make a note of that so I could make sure we'd be back to the castle to see that show at that time. And these were just some of my top tips for Disneyland. Always choose the left queue. Seriously, guys, it goes down quicker and it's shorter. Everybody automatically goes to the centre or to the right. Always choose the left queue. I guarantee you it'll be short. Don't shop after 5 p.m. That's when everybody tends to wind down and visit the shops then. What I would usually do, the shops open at 3 o'clock in the Disney Village. The shops for the park, are open from about 10 a.m. And if you're staying in a Disneyland hotel as well, guys, you can shop before 3 p.m. And instead of carrying your stuff around, you can actually have it sent to your Disneyland hotel, to the little shop, the little boutique that's in your hotel. So that saved a lot of time, a lot of space, and a lot of fussing, carrying around certain things. Okay, and there's less of a crowd if you're watching the parade in Fantasyland. Everybody rushes to Main Street, and that's where a lot of people go for the parade. It's less crowded to watch from Fantasyland, and it comes right in front of the castle, all through Fantasyland there. It starts even way before that, a little bit further ahead in Fantasyland, so watch the parade from there if you guys get a chance. And also, there is free Wi-Fi available throughout the hotels, the Disneyland hotels, as was an ours, the Sequoia Lodge. There is not Wi-Fi in the Disneyland parks. So if you're going to the Disneyland parks, turn off your roaming data. You will get charged for them. Okay, so I had some dining plans. This was the number to call if anyone was interested to have the dining plans. This is obviously from the UK to France. It is a French number. You'll have to do the plus 33, I think it is, or 22. I think it changes automatically though, so don't worry about that too much. And I booked some reservations at certain restaurants for certain times because we wanted to go for character dining. You have to book those definitely well ahead of time. This was our favourite restaurant in Disneyland Paris. We've always loved it when we've gone there, King Ludwig's Castle, and I wanted to make sure we had a reservation there. And I wanted to go to the Rainforest Cafe because I knew the children would love that with they have animatronic animals there, and it was just amazing. The kids loved that as much as the parks, really. But you can't get book reservations with that, so we had to get there early for lunch. And I would say to go for your lunch, guys, either between 11:30 and 12 to make sure you're seated, or after 2 o'clock because those are the busy hours. And this was just a little packing checklist. You can see on some, I've done the initials like J, M, and S. That's me, myself, and my husband. So it wasn't just, you can see some are just one set of things, so just for one person. But if I needed 3, like I needed 3 passports. And you can also see everything is ticked twice. I tick it once when I put it out, and then I tick it again once I've packed it. So super organized. I wasn't leaving anything to chance with that. Okay. These are a list of the rides I wanted to do just by land and sort of by zone area. They're not all of the rides. These are just the main rides that I wanted the children to go on. Okay, so I've sorted them Fantasyland, Frontierland, Discoveryland, Adventureland, and we also have the Walt Disney Studios. You can see down here I've just done a little colour code for how long we can expect to wait. This didn't really apply to us because we went in term time and it was much cheaper. The kids only had 2 days off school, and we'd authorised that with the school and the head teacher before we went. I will say to make sure you have authorisation from the school before you go and take the children. I think our school, their attendance had to be over 98% if they wanted 3 days off, and both of the kids had 100% attendance. So those 2 days they were allowed to take. It's not a frequent thing that we want to do, but it's, as you guys know, it's just so much cheaper. So the red symbolises very long wait, up to 2 hours. Orange would be a long wait time up to an hour. Average wait time is about half an hour. And short or no wait times would be 10 minutes or less. I will say there was only ever, I think, a queue for 45 minutes. We didn't actually go on that ride because I thought it was too long for my little boy to queue. He's only 3, and guaranteed in that time he would have needed the loo, he would have been hungry, he would have just been bored. So all the rest of the queue times for the rides were 15-20 minutes and less. Most of them just 5 minutes, if that even. So you can just see at the side, I'll zoom in a little bit. I've done hearts on some rides, which are rides not to be missed by the little ones, and the exclamation points are just ones that everyone should go on. So the heart ones are the ones that are suitable, like really for the kids, that they can all sort of go on, rides that we desperately wanted to go on. And the exclamation points were just for ones that shouldn't be missed as well. You'll also see little asterisks by certain things. This is where Disney characters, you'd find them for meet and greets. So I put those there, and you'll also see FP. This is for Fast Pass. It means that if you use your Disneyland ticket, you can put it into a machine right by the ride, and it'll give you an allocated time slot that you can come back without queuing and go straight to the front. We didn't actually need to use these fast passes because all of the rides that we went on, we could just go straight on. I think the only one that did have a fast pass and we didn't go on was Ratatouille because we weren't sure. When we went to go and get the fast pass, that was it. When we went to go and get the fast pass, it was the allocated time slot was right when we were having lunch, so we were going to go back later, but we just didn't go back after. And I haven't been on this run, but it's literally the only ride out of everything that we didn't go on, and the kids, they just loved it. You'll see the PH on some. That is where there are photo opportunities. There'll be chances for you to buy photos. These are also not all of the rides. These are the ones that the children could go on. So the highest height restriction was 81 centimetres, which was still able for my son. He's 3. He was tall enough to ride all of these. So that was great. As you can see, there's no Space Mountain or anything like that, but it's obviously because the kids didn't go on them. Okay. This was a very important one for me. Toilet stops at Disney. I put some in the park and in the studios and the Disney Village. And it did come in really handy, I will say, guys, when all of a sudden my little one would pipe up with, I need a wee, I need a wee. I whipped out this book and I made a note of where we were, sort of location-wise, so which land we were in. Frontierland, Adventure, Fantasy, Discovery. Looked at what rides were nearby that we could see, what we were by, and we were able to locate a toilet very quickly for the kids. So this was a godsend, and it was actually open on this page most of the time. I made a little note before we went of the rides that are definitely open during the extra magic hours. If you are staying in a Disneyland hotel, you are able to ride these. And this was just a brief itinerary of things that we wanted to do. So we arrived the Sunday evening, so we had the full Monday and Tuesday days there. So I made a note of we were going to hit Fantasyland first. All of these rides were in Fantasyland, and it's just by location which rides were next to each other that we could ride these rides without going from one. Like, it would be ridiculous to try and ride the carousel, for example, and then go and try and ride Casey Jr. because they're at total opposite ends of Fantasyland. So it just made sense to group them together. As you can see, I've done NBC, which was maybe closed due to maintenance. Some of the rides are during the course of the year, and it was crossed out of our itinerary when we discovered it was in fact closed. They ticked off, as you can see, when we did all the rides. This is not ticked off, but I did lose track of this. We went on everything, I will say. I just stopped ticking them off. So we just had time slots allocated for different times. Also on this side, you can see I made a note of the parade times. There were 2 different parades where we were there. There was the Disney Dreams, Disney Magic Parade, and there was Mickey's Halloween one, and it was on different times, and there was certain shows that we could see. So I made a note of the times for those. And this was the Tuesday. You can see we hit Discoveryland. They kind of rode the Fantasyland rides again during the magic hours. We made sure that we hit this one first because they hadn't done it and it was open. And then we came back and did extra rides, and then they went back to Discoveryland. They saw something that isn't on here, which you should go check out if you get the chance. It's the Jedi training show. It was fantastic. It was so good. Basically, kids under the age of, I think it's over the age of 7, they get trained to how to use a lightsaber, how to use the Jedi sword. And they basically go on stage then with their Jedi training masters, and they have to fight Darth Vader. So all these kids get the chance to fight Darth Vader. Our little ones were both too young, but they sat completely engrossed watching the other little children fight them, and they just thought it was so magical. I really do recommend that. That isn't on here, but I really do recommend that, guys. And then in the afternoon of the Tuesday, we hit the Walt Disney Studios. That was really good. We saw in, I believe it's in the Animagic Theatre, the Mickey and the Magician show. Now, this is there until January. Oh my gosh, guys, if you're going to Disneyland Paris before January, seriously go and check out that show. It was completely, utterly magical. Totally. The children just were in awe of it. My little niece, she went to see Stitch live, and she's a big Stitch fan. My little boy still hasn't actually seen Lilo and Stitch, so he didn't appreciate it as much, but she adored that. He was completely in awe of Mickey the Magician, and I recommend that for the little ones. Disney Junior Live, we didn't get actually a chance to see because it was on at a similar time that we were going to see the other shows. But they met loads and loads of people, and it was just fantastic. They had little autograph books that were signed by loads of the characters, and it was just fantastic. So this was my bullet journal Sidekick that I just showed you. My basically traveling one. When I go on holiday, I'll plan things in this and take this with me. And there's just a little bit of journaling on the last couple of pages for memories of just how much I enjoyed everything. And I'm going to do a little sort of scrapbook kind of page as a little memory thing in my actual bullet journal, just of Disneyland Paris, like a memory of Disney. So I'll take some photos and post those on Instagram when they're done. Thanks, guys. This was my little Disneyland Paris bullet journal Sidekick. So see you soon. Bye.